We got hot fire now for sure. I don't like these old Mercury quick connects at all. Not to mention the customer's electrical job that nearly burned the boat down. I'm pretty sure this fuel pump is bleeding into the block. We're not pissing any water. That sounds a lot better. Okay guys, we're back. This is the Mercury 150, the 1980s Mercury 150 we're working on yesterday. Compression and spark test on this engine. This engine had 120 pounds in every cylinder, so that's what made me decide it might be worth working on. As for the no spark condition, I only had spark on one cylinder on each side, and when I ran my DVA meters on here, the timer base itself tested bad. So I've replaced the timer base. Mercury calls it a trigger, but the stator tested good, the timer base tested bad, and there's not really any way to test these power packs, but they were very old and raggedy. So we went ahead and did a new timer base, got all this installed yesterday, put 2 new power packs on here, some brand new spark plugs in, and we got hot fire now for sure. So we got spark, we got fire, and now we're going to go through these carburetors. I also had a leak coming out of the propeller that seemed like it might be fuel, so we either got a bad diaphragm in the fuel pump or one of these carburetors was flooding out into the engine. First thing we're going to do though is do the carburetors. Now this customer also wanted to bypass the oil injection, so we've already taken off the tank, the sensors, the modules, pulled the drive out of the oil injection pump, and so now we should be good there. Alright, so today we're going to start pulling these carburetors and cleaning them. See if we can get this thing to run. On the front of this air silencer box is 2 7/16 bolts. First we're going to pull those. I like to use this cover for a bolt holder. Okay, so guys, if you're doing this, you're going to want to make sure you turn the battery off, because these wires are live on the side of here. And with the battery on, if you move this box to the side, you could arc something out, maybe even catch fire. But just make sure that the battery is off while you're doing this. So we're going to pull these 6 bolts right here, and that holds this air silencer to the front of the carburetors. Okay, so now this should come off. You make sure you don't tear your gasket in the back of here if you even still have one on there. We got a fuel line on here. If I remove that, I should be able to see if we can get our quick connect out of here. I don't like these old Mercury quick connects at all. Nothing quick about them. Alright, I'll just pull it off here. Alright. So you're going to lay your box to the side. Next thing I'm going to do is pull this air silencer gasket off of here. Try to be careful with it. It's actually a really nice shape. This is your next step, is this linkage on the side. If you're working on these 1980s Mercury 150s, you want to be super cautious with this linkage. It's plastic, and it's very hard to find another one if you break it. So what I like to do, or what I'm going to do, is pull all 3 of the bolts that hold it. And then I'm going to take this linkage off in whole. Set it somewhere safe, because like I said, that's a tough one to find. These parts are definitely not readily available like they used to be. I'm going to cut my zip tie on the fuel line, remove the top fuel line. Okay, so the next line we're going to pull off is our line that goes to feed the top carburetor. The way this works is this carburetor fills down here, then it comes down to this carb, over here it comes down to this carb, and fills them all up. So right now we're going to take this line off. This is your fill line from your fuel pump. Alright, now everything should be off this carburetor. We're going to remove our bolts. These are 7/16 nuts to hold these on. So now once you've gotten these 4 bolts off and your fuel lines off and your linkage off, and give it a little couple little taps. You hear a hollow sound when you've broken the seal. Some of them might not have to do that, but this one's been on for a while. May or may not have base gaskets for these carburetors, so I'm trying not to break things. Alright, looks like we already tore the base gasket, so we're definitely going to need to get base gaskets. May end up needing to get full kits for these. I don't know the condition of them. We also have our primer solenoid line that goes to the bottom of the carburetor. It's always at the very bottom so it can feed this primer solenoid. The primer solenoid then shoots fuel into here, and this carries down and shoot fuel into there for when you're starting the engine when it's cold. Okay, these have got the you want to take a look at the reeds inside of there. They look pretty good, so always take a glance at your reeds when you got carburetors off. I'm going to use a razor blade, probably take this off. I don't want it tearing and having to clean all this gasket surface. So we got our first carb off. Let's go take it to the bench and see what she looks like. Right, so we're going to dump our fuel out of here. Probably going to run this off my shop gas tank because I'm not sure what the condition of his fuel is yet. He's got a portable tank that he said is brand new fuel, so I'll take a look at it, but you can't take the word for it. You got to look, man, because otherwise you'll be chasing ghosts. Alright, so to pull this carburetor apart, we've got 6 bowl screws right here. We're going to pull those bowl screws out, and then we'll be able to take this bowl off. Okay, so once you get those bowl screws out, there's a good chance that this bowl's still going to be stuck. So what I like to do is take a pair of pliers or something, light, small hammer, just something light, and hit it till you hear that hollow sound. When you hear that hollow sound, once again, it means it's broken the seal. Lift slowly, make sure you're not ripping your gaskets apart. These gaskets look really nice, man. I think we should be perfectly fine reusing these. These are your center gaskets here. These are in great shape. So far the gaskets we need are going to be definitely the base gaskets. If I can avoid it, I'm not going to go and buy kits and all the things that come with a carburetor rebuild kit, because a lot of this is in good shape. We're trying to see if this engine's going to run again, and it's unfortunately getting to the point to where you almost have to order online just to get any of this stuff. It used to be on the shelf and very common, but not anymore. Okay, so our carburetors are actually pretty clean. Let's pull the floats out. There's a flat-headed screw there and one there, so we're going to take those out next. Now when you pick up your needle and seat, you're going to make sure, like, see this one, I think the needle, no, wasn't sticking. It felt like it might have been. And yeah, there's some dirt down in that bowl. Okay, so this is the needle and this is the float. Once again, the float drops down and picks the needle out of the seat. When it needs fuel, as it gets fuel, it shuts it off. So what you want to do, and it wasn't uncommon with these old Mercs, is to really check these plastic floats and make sure you don't have any fuel inside of them, because sometimes they split. When they split, they'd actually absorb fuel inside of them. Now if you've got the solid foam ones or whatnot and they're not deteriorated, then those were the good floats. These plastic ones, there's nothing wrong with them as long as they're working, but you got to make sure that you don't have fuel standing inside of that. Okay, there's that one. Same deal, look at your other float as well. You'll see the fuel, you'll see it somewhere floating around in there, and these are good. So let's get this ultrasonic plugged in. Start heating it up. Okay, so right now our bowl, we need to pull our drain screws out of the side. These are going to be 1/2 inch. There's a jet inside of these, so we need to clean this out real well. There's also a gasket on the end of this, a paper gasket, and we need to make sure that there's a good gasket on there when we put this back together. So the paper gasket is stuck on this side on this one. So I'll just lightly take my fingernail and pop it away. These gaskets are all reusable so far. Okay, this bowl is ready to go in the washer. It's not heated up yet, but pre-soak ain't gonna hurt it. Okay, this is the main body right here. On this main body now we got 2 more plugs in this side with jets in here, and we're gonna have 5 screws on this top plate. Let's go ahead and pull this top plate. You don't really have to worry too much about mixing these screws up. There's only 2 varieties of screws, and they're obviously much different in size. So these are for the top, those are for the bottom. So I know where they go, but I still try to kind of group them to help save time. Makes life a little easier. And we're going to pop our top cap. Go easy. Alright. Being a little dirty, the bottom gasket looks nice as well. And these top ones now are going to be 7/16. Right, so we're going to take our wrench and get these plugs out of here. Make sure the gaskets are on them as well. There are no air mixture screws on these carburetors. It's all a jet system. It's a jet inside of there, jet inside of there, and jets inside that bowl, as well as some air mixture jets in the top up here. So this carburetor actually really ain't that bad. We're going to go ahead and put this one in the ultrasonic as well. Go ahead and hit play. In the meantime, we can go pull the second carburetor off. Alright, it's about the same deal as the other one here, but we got one fuel line coming in, one fuel line going out, or vice versa. And the only thing we're going to have to pull on here, I'm going to take it off from down here at the bottom carburetor. Just take that all in one assembly. Careful guys, when you cut these zip ties, make sure you're not cutting other hoses, wires, or even the fuel line itself. You got to kind of keep an eye out for that. So I've decided to take it off from up here because it's very stuck on the bottom and I don't have a pair of needle nose with me. Alright, so let's take this one off. Okay, so the 4 bolts are off, the carburetor's loose. The other thing that I needed to take off while I was here is the actual feeder from the primer solenoid. So we're going to push that off there. And then we've got another one that loops down to the bottom carb, so we'll pull this one off up here too. Make sure you guys put these back on while the carburetors are, the top carburetor is off still, because it can be tough to get underneath there. So what I generally do on these is I'll install the bottom, middle, the top in that order. Makes life a lot easier. This base gasket is good here. Let's go take this thing to the bench and see what's in it. Okay, so this one should be done. Let's check it out. Oh yeah. Man, that looks pretty good. Okay, let's get the second one in there. Play. We'll rinse these off with water. I will grab my important tools, my readers and my air blower. You can fix a lot of things with those. Let me clean, dry my bowl off. Came out pretty good. Blow through her here. Make sure we got no debris inside of the needle seats. Shoot through a little bleeder line for our choke solenoid. Alright, there's one. And the main body. And open your butterflies up. First thing I try to do is dry the carburetor off, and then I start seeking passages. This passage right here is a vent, and you can see right through it already. Same with this one, very clear. Side here is a idle hole. Okay, right here you got holes in the orifice tube for your air idle mixture. Make sure they're clear. Right next to it, right here, we have another passage. That's the same one for our up here we got another passage that comes out of our jet on the side. Okay, jets in the top up here, that's very clear, can see right through them. And we've got small holes here that for our air mixture. If you open the throttle plates, you can actually see light through there. Flashlight is a great tool when you're working on carbs. You look through here, you can see your passages. They show up with light. Every one of these passages shows light through them. Not all of them. Some of them are going to be kind of tough to see. But flashlight really sheds some light on things, so to speak. Okay, right here, these little passages are going to be for your high-speed jets. Those are very important to make sure they're clear. You want to put compressed air on them and feel underneath there. You'll feel it. You see my finger. Plenty of air. As a matter of fact, you can actually see right through those, so don't think there's any issues there. If you use your flashlight and put it here, you can kind of see down into the jets. They're both very clear, so these carburetors are clean. Alright, now we're going to reassemble. The first thing I do is I reassemble my bowls. You're going to take your floats and your needle, try to put them in the same chamber you took them out from. Got a pin that goes through here, and you're going to make sure that your clip is clipped onto the top of this. And you're going to set your needle down and get your pin in place. Now you've got your small flathead retainer screws. They're going to go back down there. Slide them down. Same with the other side. Make sure that clip is up on top of that float. Set it down. Careful as you're setting it. Sometimes it'll bounce and that'll come off of there, but keep an eye on it. Make sure at the end of the day that clip is still on that float, metal blade on the float. Okay, snug them down. Now we're going to check our float levels. These, I turn them upside down. These are very balanced, very even floats. You'll see right here is this flat surface around here. You want that to be very close to that. You see, it's hard to see these floats. I don't know if you guys can see it, but they're almost level. They're hair low on the right side is what I like. You don't want them way down here. You don't want them sunk up in the bowl. You want them about like that. I call it 60%. These floats are adjusted nicely. So now we're going to put our jets. We're going to make sure our jets are clear. Oh yeah, no problems. Put some light through it. See very clearly through there. You can also look through it. No debris, very clean jets. Make sure your gasket's on the screw. Thread it back in. These are brass, so you don't need to crank them with a breaker bar, but make sure they're snug because you don't want to leak in fuel either. Same deal, let's make sure our gasket's in position. Pull them out. Lots of light. No issues. We're going to screw this one back in. Our bowl is back together. Now for our main body, we're going to take our center gaskets and place those back down here. These things are like brand new. Somebody must have went through these carburetors recently. This engine's been sitting a minute or just got the engine, and I like to make sure that these things are good and clear. Because if you don't look inside of them or you don't clean them, you don't know. And when you buy something used, there's a good chance there could be issues. Okay, so we're going to put our bowl back down. 6 screws. I'm going to use my impact gun, but I don't use them to tighten them. I just use it to save some time and just run it to the bottom. I'm going to come back with a Phillips screwdriver and snug them down. Alright, so I'm going to take our Phillips head, and you don't have to do this. I just like to kind of do a cross pattern as if I'm torquing them. Mentally makes me feel better, and it definitely doesn't hurt anything. Okay, our bowl's tight. Bleeder hose down here is nice and pliable. Should be good to reuse. We're going to put our top jets are clean. We're going to put our plugs back in. Okay, we're going to snug them down. And then we're going to put our plate back on the top. As time went, the carburetors got a little more complex because of emissions reasons. These things here, they like to eat fuel, but the engine ran good and lasted a long time. Newer ones sometimes had fewer issues. I definitely like the newer plastic Johnson carburetors over the old aluminum ones. But okay, so we got some remnants of our base gasket because this is a top carburetor where the gasket got torn. Take your blade, keep it flat, and right across the bottom. I'm not trying to take off any metal or make gouges. You want your surface to be nice and smooth for it to feel. Okay, so this carburetor is ready to put back on. This was the top carburetor. Okay guys, I just had another customer pulled up. He just put 2 lithiums on his trolling motor battery, and he wanted me to install an onboard charger. So I'm gonna bounce between the 2 boats today. It's not gonna be on video. But we got our second carburetor done, and we're going to pull this out. Yeah, this one looks really nice too. These carburetors weren't too bad. I'm going to go rinse them off and come back, and we're going to do the same process we did on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed the video up when I get back and just put this together quickly on video. It's exactly the same process as this one, and then we'll pull the third carburetor and we'll do the same thing again. I'll slow the video down and communicate with you guys when we go to put them back on, sync the linkages, stuff like that. But in the meantime, this portion right here is going to get repeated 2 more times. Okay guys, so I've looked all over the shop and I've got all kinds of Mercury base gaskets, but not this particular one. This one has 2 holes in it. We don't need 2 holes in it, we only need 1. That's how the gasket is theoretically supposed to look. I have a lot of these brand new ones for the later models. Everything is exactly the same except for this hole right here. So what I'm going to do is actually punch this gasket out, and then I will have a gasket on hand. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but worth a shot. So I got a punch right here. It'd be nice if it was a sharp punch. And there we go. So I'm not going to hit it here. I'm going to hit it on the ground where it's solid. Make sure your gasket's lined up very well. Okay. Ooh, right there. Okay, so let's see what we got. Take some little snippers, make sure that we don't have anything hanging over. But yeah, that's pretty close. Let me go through there and see if I can widen it a little bit. It's a very simple gasket, and I don't usually make gaskets, but this is an actual gasket for Merc. Just needed that hole, and I think this is going to work well. Alright, so let's put the top carburetor on first. I'm waiting for the bottom one to clean. Like I said earlier, normally I'll go from the bottom to the top to make things easier, but there's a lot of room with these old motors. When you pull these cowlings off, you've got plenty of room to work. So we're going to put this top gasket on first. And you see that right there is where our hole needs to be. It's perfect. Okay, we'll set this on. Trying to continue to record and show you guys, but I also want to try to beat this rain the best I can. It's been raining on and off most of the week here in Florida, and it's hard to actually get work done. And it takes a long time to make videos. So if you guys haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps my channel greatly, and it makes all this worthwhile. Really appreciate you guys, and I enjoy doing this. All right, let's tighten the carb down. I hope these videos are helpful for someone. Let's get a ratcheting wrench just to speed up the process a little bit. And speed is the name of the game right now. Alright, won't be able to use it on the bottom, but it sure saves time up top. So we have 3 lines that go to this carburetor. One that's going to go to this primer solenoid right here. And then we got our fuel in and our fuel out. The carburetor below that is going to get bleeder lines. So carb is tight. We grab the middle one. Alright, so before we put this back on, we're going to feed our bleeder lines into here. Got one there, and unfortunately the other carburetor actually has the return line over there on the bench still, so we should be able to get in here and get that one put back on. But I am going to go ahead and bolt this one down. Cloud's looking really dark. It's actually nice to have this overcast versus the 100-degree sunlight, but at the same time it's sketchy. Never know if it's going to start pouring on you and you have to clean up your tools real fast, or you're going to get killed by lightning. Definitely summer here. Let's use our ratcheting wrench up top. See if we can save some time. I really wish you could get this on the bottom ones. Alright, last one. The lower you go on these carburetors, the more compact everything is. Alright, we'll go ahead and get our fuel lines back on now. So this bleed return goes here. The ties. So this one goes right here. And we got our inline. We come out here, we go to the next carb. This one's going to go down to the bottom carb. And this line right here is going to go down to the front intake to feed it. Comes up in here, goes through here, goes into the inlet. There's a screen in there. Comes out of the outlet after it's pumped in. It goes up to here. So we also need another zip tie here. If you guys ever want to snug these zip ties up a little bit better, if you grab it lightly with your flush cuts and don't cut through it, you can roll it and a lot of times get an additional click out of there. I do have a gun that you squeeze to do the zip ties, and I don't care for it very much. Alright, so our last carb needs to go back on. Alright, our ultrasonic is done. Can unplug it. Gotta wait for next time. Get our carburetors out. Very nice. Okay, I'm going to wash these out and put the last carburetor together. Guys, so that was a miniature nightmare right there. I walked out of the boat after I decided to pull this bottom carburetor, and I smelled electrical fire and smoke was bellowing out of this console. Somebody apparently decided to hook up the neutral safety switch on the controls, one side to positive and one side to negative. So when the controls were put into neutral, it actually started melting the wires, almost burnt this boat to the ground. Please guys, if you don't have a clue what you're doing with electrical, get some help from somebody or have somebody do it. This thing could have burnt my shop down. I don't know what they were thinking. They had both of their kill wires on the key switch, ran to ground, which is going to make it not have any spark whatsoever, which is not why we didn't have spark on the engine. I used my test harness and isolated it. That's why I didn't catch this problem earlier, and that's most likely what popped the fuse on the engine. People, please don't do this if you don't know what you're doing. This is the wiring right here that I cut out. This thing is all melted down, and if I wasn't standing right there and rushed to the boat, this thing would be getting sprayed by fire trucks right now. So now that I've wired the key switch correctly, we crank and everything is good there, and I cut everything away that he went ahead and wired incorrectly. Carb's back on. Now let's try to get our air box back on there. So guys, if you get a couple bolts started on your gasket, saves a lot of time, holds it in place so you're not fighting it. And once you've got it in place, you're going to bring your air box in and line your bolts up, get a couple of them started. Once you've got a couple of them started, you can grab the rest, put those in, those started. Try to make sure you're actually getting all of them started by hand. Don't just stick them in there and try to buzz them down. You want to make sure your first few threads are actually threading. You can take your buzz gun or your wrench, whatever you want to use. Yeah, the battery's dying on this thing. So I'm going to wrench it the rest of the way. Okay, let's go around and check all the rest of these. You want these bolts wobbling out because they will get sucked into the carburetor, tear up the reeds, and destroy the engine. So it's pretty important that these are good and snug. You can Loctite them if you want. Put lock washers on them, however you want to do it, but make sure they're not loose or barely in there. So now, get our fuel line back on, and we're going to prime it up while it's on the engine again to make sure that we're not leaking. All right, I am not leaking. Good. So now we'll go over here and put our linkage back on the side so I can sink these carburetors. Okay. Don't over tighten this linkage here because it'll actually crack relatively easy. Some decent plastic material, but the problem is it's 40 years old, probably 40 plus years old. I don't know the exact year of this engine, but pretty good with knowing what years they switch different things. This engine could be even an 83 or 84, but I'm pretty certain this engine's about an 85 or 86, right in there. But no matter what it is, it's close enough. It's an old engine, and point is that this plastic is brittle. So we're gonna want to get our bolts started. Right now we're just trying to get the bolts started, and you're not gonna want to tighten them all the way down. Just bring them down close so the linkage will be held in place. And they should all be closed right now. You can check them with your screwdriver if you want. Make sure they're all 100% shut. And we're going to roll this linkage down until we're just touching our cam roller right there. And snug these down. Try to keep everything in place and none of the carburetors lose position. Alright, so these carburetors are synced. Our linkage is back on. Fuel line's on. We're primed up. I think we might be able to actually start this thing up. Yeah, almost want to start. Come on, buddy. This poor old motor's been through some hell. There we go, come on. Uh-oh. Starting to clear out. Another problem I got here is that the controls, the neutral warm-up does not work. So it's going to kick it into gear, and I don't really want to have it in gear while I'm trying to clear it out. So So we don't want to open our carburetors up any to idle. We're going to want to bring our actual, there's no air mixtures to adjust on here. And you don't want your carburetors being opened by the throttle to keep an engine running. You adjust the timing. Those timing may need to be advanced a bit. Remember before the timer base, the linkage was actually broke on the old one. So, yes, your idle timing screw. Hopefully it's not frozen up. It does move. Okay, advanced our timing a little bit. The further this goes towards the block, the higher your timing is advanced. You don't want to go too far. You still want to have a good finger or so between the block and this arrow. Okay, so she starts up and runs now. She's running real rough and loading up. I suspect the fuel pump is a problem as well. So we're not leaking out of the carbs. We're clean there. We're synced. We got good compression. We got good spark on everything. So right now I'm pretty sure this fuel pump is bleeding into the block and it's flooding it out at an idle. I can accelerate the engine and it'll clear it out and burn it out, but as soon as you come back down to idle, it gets very rough. And we're not pissing any water as well, so I'm gonna end up doing a water pump, gear oil, and probably just pop it, maybe the thermostats, I'm not sure yet. Right now I just kind of wanted to get it running. And we are running, but we're not running good, so I'm going to look into the fuel pump diaphragm right now. I hope there's still a kit available for that old style fuel pump. Okay guys, so my distributor had about 4 fuel pump kits in stock for this thing still. Replace all the diaphragms and the gaskets in it. I got it bolted back to the engine. Let's hope she runs now. I may have to do some adjustments with the timing now and random things, but hopefully I don't have to fix anything else on this engine. I already know I got to do the water pump and the gear oil, but I don't want to touch this power head if I can help it. So let's turn the water back on and see if she runs now. Prime it up, make sure our fuel pump doesn't leak. And carbs are primed, fuel pump is primed. Primed it nice this time too. It really felt like it was kind of spongy before. So hopefully this is it. Come on guys. Okay, so hopefully this is it. Cross your fingers. That sounds a lot better. Okay guys, so that was one heck of a battle. I'm going to tell you all something. If you're going to work on a 40-year-old motor, be prepared to replace everything. I mean, I tried to go through it and do what I needed to do, and it seemed like there was one problem after another. First issue was the spark issue. It turned out to be our timer base, or our trigger that Mercury calls it. Then I had to do 2 power packs. I didn't necessarily have to do them, but they were in very poor shape. And it's always a good idea at this stage, especially, to make sure your power packs are up and running so you don't get stranded in the water. Did brand new spark plugs in it. Our compression was good. We did the carburetors, had a little bit of issue with the bottom carburetor leaking. Corrected the float on it. That issue went away. And then we got it to start up and run. But once I got that to happen, it was pumping gas into the engine from the fuel pump, which turned out to have tons of trash inside of it, broken down fuel line and a bad diaphragm. So I got a rebuild kit and we did that. So now after all this is done, not to mention the customer's electrical job that nearly burned the boat down and blew the fuse on the engine, which wouldn't let us crank in the first place. The reason I didn't discover the electrical issue earlier is because I grabbed my test harness and tried to use it. When I did discover the issue, it's when I put his engine back on the harness and nearly smoked everything. So now our issue's good at the key switch. I'm still running it back here because I've been doing tests and adjusting things. I will put it back on his, but that shouldn't be an issue now. Finally, this engine starts and runs. It actually sounds really good. Sounds very solid, accelerates well, idles nice. The smokiness has gone down because we're not dumping fuel in the engine. Very pleased right now with how this power head runs. The next thing we're going to need to do is check the thermostats out. Most likely going to have to do this poppet assembly under here. I was starting to pee water on this thing, but we're definitely going to do a water pumping gear oil. I didn't see any water coming out of this poppet, so it might be okay. But when something's this old and I have no history of service, it's good to go through all this stuff if you want to go out there with this age of an engine and actually have any fun without being stuck or getting towed in. So that's where I'm at so far, guys. I'm going to do the rest of this engine and call up the customer, tell him to come get it. If he wants to do anything with the electrical, that's up to him, but I really don't want to touch the electrical on this boat unless we just redo the whole boat. So we're getting there, guys. I appreciate y'all for watching my videos. Thank you so much. I will try to update you after I get this thing 100% complete. But right now, so far, so good. Please, if you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe button, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend.